It is now my pleasure to introduce the College of Communication commencement speaker. Ted Harbert is one of our own. Ted graduated magna cum laude from COM in 1977 and currently serves on the Dean's Advisory Board. He spent the first 20 years of his career with ABC and served as the chairman of ABC Entertainment. Ted was also president of NBC Studios with responsibility for development and production of all NBC-owned programming and was television producer for DreamWorks SKG. Ted Harbert is currently president and CEO of Comcast Entertainment Group, where he has oversight of the company's West Coast properties, including E!, Entertainment Television, Style Network, and the G4 Network. In early 2006, Harbert launched a major company-wide initiative named E! Everywhere, dedicated to making E! content available anywhere and at any time on all distribution platforms, from online, wireless, and broadband, to satellite, radio, and video on demand. So now I will put a verbal exclamation point after his name and introduce Ted Harbert.
Hello all. Thank you very much, Dean Berkowitz. I'm honored that you asked me to join you today on this exciting day. Please accept my apologies for not wearing the official cap with my regulation gown. It's no secret that the reason I've had steady work in television for 30 years is my full head of hair, which looks borderline amazing on the Jumbotron. So I'm not about to start hiding it now under some funny hats. Thanks so much for understanding and for giving me the opportunity to address the graduates today. The wonderful screenwriter William Goldman said of Hollywood, "No one knows anything," which makes me the perfect person to deliver the address to the class of '07. Now, according to the dean's introduction, I'm supposed to know something about television. But whenever I try to turn up the volume with a remote, I always end up changing the channel. I really wish the FCC would concentrate on that instead of Janet Jackson. So, class of '07, way to go. And parents of the class of '07, way to write the big checks. May the personnel departments throughout the land shine the light of employment on your sons and daughters well before the leaves change once again. In just 2 days, it will be exactly 30 years since I received my BU diploma on that lawn in front of that really gorgeous building at 640 Com Ave. Back in the late 70s, we thought it looked like the headquarters for the East German secret police. And I have to say, I really love what you've done with the place. Now it looks more like a Liberian oil tanker with really good radio reception. Now, the thought that 30 years has zipped by since I graduated from this wonderful university has caused me only minor paralysis. I spent only 20 minutes the other day wondering why my freshman roommate took just 1 shower per semester. But while I was privately retching at that thought, I finally came up with an approach to this speech. So a big thank you goes out to Bobby Maynard, you dirty, filthy pig. Where's my water? I'm gonna need my water after that. 1 second. What screams out at me as the last 30 years twirl like a twister right before my eyes is that we have come upon a perfect storm in the communications business. A storm that may just obliterate many of the business traditions that my generation relies on daily. The good news for you guys is that it will create tremendous opportunities for each and every one of you. I'm going to talk about that for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to leap way beyond the parameters of my broadcasting and film degree and talk about what this means for your role in greater society. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the world begins and ends with the communications business, but this storm is so huge and so powerful that the ripple effects reach into every aspect of your lives. Sounds melodramatic, I know, but we're not at the School of Engineering. So this first section is called The Jig is Up. Here's the deal. The first regularly published newspaper started in Germany in 1502. So every week, the people of the town tossed a couple German coins into a cup and took their newspaper. The idea spread quickly, and newspapers popped up all over the world. This new business, publishing with a single revenue stream, replaced the age-old tradition of spreading the news house to house, hamlet to hamlet. This system was the best thing since sliced bread, which probably wasn't invented then. This lasted for just over 200 years until 1704, when a guy who wanted to sell his house took out the first newspaper ad that we know of in a little paper called the Cape Cod Times, just 75 miles from here. Imagine the impact, Cape Cod Times, thank you. Imagine the impact of this tiny transaction, the creation of publishing's dual revenue stream, which, by the way, the cable television business brilliantly borrowed just about 30 years ago. But back to 1704, when the communications business as we know it was born. The Cape Cod Times created the content, advertising, consumption triangle, which linked people who wanted to say something with people who wanted to sell something for what we think was the first time. This triangle has lasted for 300 years, surviving vicious challenges from fascism, famine, and Watergate, until you guys got a hold of it and struck back with the most powerful weapon known to man, the laptop. First, here's how the triangle works. People like me write newspaper articles, talk or sing into a radio microphone, perhaps make funny faces or tell a wonderful story in front of a television camera. We're the content side of the triangle. Then the folks in the sales department get businesses to buy newspaper space or a 30-second spot. That's the advertising side. And the public consumes tons of this content for little or no cost. All we ask in return is that you respect the triangle and watch a few of our ads, and oh yeah, just one more small thing. We need you to read, listen, and watch when we tell you, and where, and how. Not too much to ask if I'm going to get my beach house a couple blocks away from the Cape Cod Times, right? Well, in the 4 years you've spent walking through the freezing wind tunnel we lovingly call our campus, the 300-year-old triangle is hemorrhaging at the hypotenuse. And of course, I blame you. You have literally millions of choices that you access 24 hours a day on a backpack full of devices, or starting tomorrow, a briefcase full. You are being electronically yanked away from the traditional advertisement, and you seem to like getting yanked. And worst of all, you don't seem to care about my beach house at all. So just so we're clear, here's what you're messing with. The way we make the big dough in the linear world is to cram each hour with 11 minutes of commercials, or each issue with huge ads for Filene's Basement. You guys don't seem to care about the delicately balanced triangle. You're just using cool toys to skip right through them like commie, pinko, Emerson students. Hey, I know you can't see it, but underneath this robe, I have a suit on. It's new, it's pretty nice, but I can't just go around making graduation speeches. I have to buy actual clothes. So couldn't you watch just a few more commercials? Now, some say the solution comes from monetizing all the new nonlinear businesses, part of E-Everywhere, because you seem to be all over them. But we can't and shouldn't commercialize these wonderful new forms of communication the same way we have the big, shiny 40-inch box that sits in the family room. I can't, shouldn't, and won't add 11 minutes of spots to my video-on-demand, wireless, and broadband programming. That would be making the same mistake all over again and would kill these potentially huge businesses in their infancy. The bottom line is, those of us who run media companies no longer have the power to make you do anything. So, the jig is up. This makes us sad. So who torched the triangle and started the perfect storm? Who took centuries of power and threw it into your laptops? The two main culprits are the rare gift of genius and what I call the new brain. The genius comes from the kids in the garage and the students in the lab and the socially challenged researchers in Palo Alto who've shrunk the chips, written the code, and invented the gadgets that have killed the concept of program schedules and are ravaging the second part of the triangle, the full-page ad and the 30-second spot. The second culprit, the new brain, is a relatively new device found only in humans born after 1977, 30 years ago. There's that number again. Since I started at ABC in 1977, I didn't get a new brain. I'm still flustered by Pac-Man. But the new brain is jam-packed with new features not found on older models. Just look at what you get. You can watch 3 screens at once, hold 4 separate conversations simultaneously, solve complex problems 5 times faster, and much, much more. So enough about you, let's talk about me. A minute ago, I said that the New World Order makes me sad, but really, nothing could be further from the truth. Actually, I'm more thrilled than ever to work in this business, and that's pretty thrilled. I have challenges and opportunities that didn't exist when you started as freshmen. New businesses to learn that keep me curious, and that keeps me alive and fighting and feeling stupid. I'll tell you what I am, though, and that's jealous. It's going to be so great for you. It's like the geniuses have discovered so many new worlds for you to explore, and now you can travel there at warp speed and be there in seconds. There are so many new jobs in so many new businesses that need your new brains. There are big problems to solve, and frankly, my generation can't do it alone. The biggest issue you're going to face isn't what I thought it was going to be. Between my parents, Howard Zinn, and other great professors here at the university, I've been trained to have a healthy paranoia about the government or even big business getting anywhere near our First Amendment rights. And while there are certainly continual shots across freedom's bow, the technologies that allow self-publishing and file sharing, along with all you great journalism students, mean that the good guys now outnumber the bad guys 1,000,000 to 1. In fact, because we have so many voices vying for airtime, we must be mindful of how quickly vox populi can turn into chilling political correctness. What Don Imus said was ignorant and wrong, and he too is paid by advertisers. But please remember, along with wise and illuminating free speech, we also get stupid and just plain wrong free speech. See Dewey Defeats Truman and page 6 for details. Or for a good laugh, listen to a tape of me on WTBU in 1976. But stupid free speech is just part of the deal, and there isn't a force in the universe that can stop all the new voices, especially not the FCC. No, the biggest problem you're going to face is how to get paid. It may be unseemly to talk about money today, but as of 9 a.m. tomorrow, you're really going to have to give the matter some serious thought. Don't forget, if you work at a company with ads or spots of any kind, advertisers pay most or all of your salary, to the tune of more than $100 billion a year. We love advertisers. They're part of the triangle. Now, the theory that the amount of time you spend in front of some sort of screen is only going up, not down, so you're still available to be sold to. This should work, but if we keep skipping the spots, just like I do, advertisers will do the unthinkable. They'll detach their billions from our content and try to go directly to the consumer. If you majored in direct marketing, you're in good shape. I guess that's okay. It just means a lot of us will have to go home and not to Cape Cod near the Times. So what you get to do, starting tomorrow morning, is figure this whole thing out and save my job. And you know what else you're going to do? You're going to have a blast doing it. Why? Because our business is a blank slate right now. Need proof? Look at me. Blank slate. You can be the next Gutenberg, Edison, Marconi, Paley, Bochco, Spielberg, Gates, or Page and Brin from Google. These positions are absolutely available. And better still, there are no rules to follow. You can totally make it up as you go along. Between the tools the geniuses give you and your new brains, you are going to simply knock this planet on its ass. I can't wait to watch you. I can't wait to watch you from my bed. You will live your adult lives in the most exciting time in world history, but there's just one small catch. It's what Section 2 is about. I'm going to be a bit oblique and called The Jig Is Up yet again. So there are 27 million of you in the demo break we call 18 to 24. The researchers call you Generation Nexters, which I think is really lame. It's basically college kids and those just joining the workforce. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. You may not love this, so please accept my apologies in advance, but here are a couple facts I dug up about your group. Out of 27 million, just a little over 500,000 of you watch the nightly news on the 3 major networks. Now, since the median age for those broadcasts is 60 years old, wow, 60, you can't really be expected to sit through all those commercials about adult diapers and what to do if you get a 4-hour erection. I never watched the news in college. Star Trek was on Channel 38. But the numbers of how much you rely on Comedy Central's Daily Show for your news are scary. I mean, I think Jon Stewart walks on water too, but even he's begging us not to believe a word he says. The number that scares me most, however, are how much news we're getting online, which I'm guilty as well. It's not that I'm suggesting that you have to plow through the newspaper every day. In fact, I'm quite worried about the long-term prospects for a business that makes people use twine to bundle up 50 papers at 3 a.m., throw them in the back of an El Camino, and toss them onto your dad's wet lawn. Now, BostonGlobe.com is a fabulous service, but is that what we're using? Sorry about the reverb. Not as much as we should. We're going to our homepage portal, AOL, Yahoo, Comcast.net, sorry for the plug, new suit, remember, and we're glancing at the headlines, and that's it. An informed public, this does not make. And when we do click on a headline to read the whole story, an even more disturbing practice has become commonplace. As part of the hard news headlines on the portal's front page, they include at least one or two entertainment news headlines. And every day, without fail, 50 times more people click on the huge story like Britney Spears shaves her head than on a little thing like Alberto Gonzalez firing all the U.S. attorneys. I spend every day in the world of entertainment news. I really understand its appeal, and it's great that my business has never been better. But its encroachment into what we have traditionally identified as hard news needs to be scrutinized more harshly. Here's why, perhaps. We all know the world changed after 9/11, but I think for you guys, who were 15 or 16 at the time, the change was the most profound. Because after you've seen that, nothing else can ever come close. The oh my God bar is now at a new high, or low. 25,000 died in an earthquake, polar bears clinging to a little chunk of ice, the war in Iraq and an unmitigated disaster. Yeah, what else you got? You can't go into school or work and talk about that stuff. You'll cry. You'll be a buzzkill. No one will like you. So what do you talk about? You talk about Britney Spears showing off her Hot Pocket getting out of a car. I get it. I do it too. Our brains grow a thick skin to shield us from that which causes us pain. And there's plenty of that to go around these days. But here's my prayer. You have the new brain. You're borderline bionic. Remember, watching E is for fun, and fun is a crucially important part of life. But the other stuff is the real reality show. You can compartmentalize. We need you to try. Listen, the last thing I want this speech to be is the you must be responsible citizen speech. That approach is rhetorical, redundant, and worst of all, condescending. No, truthfully, I have something much bigger in mind, and it's this. I want you to take this planet away from us, and I want you to start with the United States of America. I don't want you to wait your turn. I don't want you to work your way up the ladder. Get your VP stripes when you're 30, your EVP stripes when you're 40, run the company when you're 50, or whatever the equivalent is in the field you love most. This is what I meant by the jig is up yet again. The jig is up for us, the people in charge. We've had 30 years of opportunity, and by and large, what have we done? We've made ourselves rich. We certainly haven't taken care of the planet or the people that need us. It's why I need you to read and watch more news, because information is all the weapon you'll ever need. I'm sorry, but I just can't watch the cluster schmuck that is our nation's capital pontificate and produce nothing. This new immigration bill that everybody's yelling about this weekend is a perfect example. Of course it's not a perfect bill. The two things you should never watch get made is legislation and sausage. But it's something. It moves the ball forward a little, but just watch. This will be months of cloakroom haggling and loud music stings with a slightly Hispanic flavor on cable news networks. And I can't watch everything Harbert builds in Iraq fall apart. I can't watch these killer storms get stronger and stronger, and a town in Kansas is just gone, and I hope it's not global warming and we let it happen. I can't watch children, American or not, go hungry. I can't watch all those damn polar bears fall off those little chunks of ice and drown. I don't know why the polar bears get to me so much. And I really can't watch more Americans die in a stupid war with not enough armor on their bodies or their trucks. These are just the these are just the headlines. You know I could go on for another hour. One of the most important skills you have to pick up as an adult is figuring out who to trust. Well, let me give you a head start. In a lot of ways, you can't trust us. I'm sure I don't understand all the reasons why, but we're just not delivering on the big ticket items. And one of the things you'll learn quickly, starting tomorrow morning, is that if you don't deliver, you get fired. There's a very smart woman who works for me running my marketing department. You can't have her job yet. I asked her why you guys aren't out protesting some of these outrageous conditions the way my older brothers did in the 60s. Do you feel powerless? Is it the post-9/11 numbness? She said she hears your voices loud and clear in blogs, on YouTube, on Facebook, and that you're having a bigger influence than I'm giving you credit for. I so want her to be right. She's a lot smarter than I am. But you're going to have to come after us pretty soon and throw us out of our jobs. You can't wait 10 or 15 years to get involved. Join up with your older brothers and sisters, and you have the power, and you have the votes. I know this is a lot to ask you today. You want to get your diploma, have a beer, or 8, and order the lobster, because it might be the last time for a while. But honestly, I don't feel a moment's hesitation, because every day I'm surrounded by young people, most of them just a little older than you, and I watch them buzz around me, going 120 miles an hour in my 65-mile-an-hour zone. Your sheer ability to handle volume and complexity with great efficiency is simply astounding. You can do anything: fight, fix, love, laugh, persevere, all with your headphones on. Some part of you may want to block out the outside world, focus on your career, and party. That's okay. You can do that and take over the world at the same time. Because all of us, your parents, all of us in charge, we did one thing right. We had you. And with the new brains you were born with, along with those genius tools, you will absolutely do it all. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Class of '07, way to go. Congratulations, you're done. Thank you.